An officer shot when people attacked an ICE detention facility. We had a sniper attack a Dallas facility and killed a couple of detainees. We've had several shootings in the last week.
A new report says that a Texas school district has removed Good Friday as a school-recognized holiday for the upcoming year. Bronson Woodruff has more.
It's now reported that Austin Independent School District in Austin, Texas, has chosen to not observe Good Friday this school year. This means that according to the calendar, schools will not close on Good Friday this school year, and teachers and students will be expected to attend regular classes. But that's not all. Mary Elizabeth Castle of Texas Values said they will get another day off that week instead.
What they voted on is for students to get out on a Tuesday earlier that week to celebrate Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Day.
She said her team has observed Austin ISD's leanings.
Well, Austin ISD has had a history of doing a lot of things with left-leaning political ideology, but a parent brought this to our attention that the school actually voted on a calendar, and this calendar does not have Good Friday listed for April 3rd.
As far as Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Day,
both of those holidays probably could be celebrated, but we see that obviously this was placed over students being able to observe Good Friday.
Texas Value says it sent a letter to Austin ISD asking them to reverse its decision not to observe Good Friday. Castle said right now her team is just waiting to see what the district responds with.
We hope that there's a favorable response. However, we will see what they say, and if further steps need to be made, we will make those further steps.
She said you can find a copy of the letter Texas Values sent to the district on txvalues.org and see their press release. I'm Bronson Woodruff.
Trading on Wall Street was modestly mixed ahead of the opening bell today, while crude prices jumped more than 5% after President Donald Trump announced sanctions on Russian oil giants. For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
The American Family Association's mission is to inform, equip, and activate individuals to strengthen the moral foundations of our culture. We also support the church. Our goal is to be a leading organization in biblical worldview training for cultural transformation. We believe true morality flows from biblical principles and directs people to the manner in which God intends them to live.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association as we seek to stop the erosion of godly values.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim Wildmon, and today is Thursday, October the 23rd, 2025. And joining me in studio is Fred Jackson. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning, Tim.
Chris Woodward.
Hello.
Good morning, Brother Chris. And Ray Pritchard in Kansas City.
Good morning, Tim. How you doing today?
Everything's good. Fall is in the air, and I know it's in the air there in Kansas City, too. The leaves turning?
Yeah, cover? And it was 36 degrees this morning.
Ooh.
No,
as they say, I do not receive this.
I'm sorry for the English teacher. My apologies to the English teachers out here, but 36 ain't fall.
That's right.
To me, that's winter.
That's winter. What that is.
You entered winter territory right there.
That's right.
But but it is fall, and I noticed that some bitter cold weather is coming to the northern tier. I think. Say bitter
absolutely.
Cold. Yeah.
And we were in the 40s overnight here in the deep south.
Yeah.
I have transitioned to a jacket for my morning walk.
I'm missing that global warming. I wish it'd come back.
Yeah. Where did it go?
All right. So much to talk about today on the program, and that's a good thing because it's a talk show, and we got an hour and a half to fill here. And we have no records to play. So good thing that we have topics to talk about. But as always, as I said earlier, we thank you for listening to American Family Radio. We're here 24/7, and our goal and mission is to inform, equip, and motivate. Because we have a we need to get the gospel of Jesus Christ out.
Amen.
To as many people as possible, because people need to hear about the saving grace of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
But also we have a country we're trying to help save, because we love America and we want to preserve it for our children and our grandchildren and future generations, and we can't have our freedoms lost.
Amen.
And our way of life destroyed. So we're standing for those traditional American values that made our country great in the first place. So that's why we're here every day. And one of the ways we do that is to tell you what's happening in our country through a program like this and other programs, so that we can be informed, make a difference, and especially when we go vote, know who we want to vote for. That will make decisions for us. There is a breaking story, Fred, that's going crazy right now. What is it about?
This is about to explode, and I think to be the big, huge story of the day. You can go to afn.net right now. Heats Rozier and Trailblazers Billups among dozens arrested in gambling probe tied to the mafia. That is the headline. Very briefly, more than 30 people have been arrested in just the last few hours, like since midnight last night. They include at least one NBA player, a coach, and many others. What's going on here, they've been caught in a gambling probe, gambling ring that also involves the mafia. All right? So in one case, and this has to do with a Portland Trailblazers, the Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier.
Yeah, let me just tell folks maybe who don't follow the NBA that this is involving the National Basketball, the NBA. This is the top professional basketball league in the world right here.
Yes.
And this is involving players and coaches, right?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And others.
Okay.
And the mafia. One person says, this is the big headline of the day. The mafia is back.
Yeah.
They've been investigated for years. We've been involved in gambling. But we've got players, we've got coaches. In one case, Rozier, the allegation is, I'll put it this way.
He's the player in Miami.
Yes.
Yeah.
The allegation is he got so about that he took himself out of games in order to win a gambling bet. Now, Tim, we're talking about a player with a contract of more than $20 million being involved in gambling, allegedly, where the payoff might be $100,000 or $200,000. That's another part of the headline here. Why would you do that? You're getting paid over $20 million. Why would you be involved with this? This story is just going to build and build. The FBI, the New York Police Department just finished a news conference, so we're just getting details.
So the FBI is involved here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, heavily.
Okay, so far they're saying 30 people.
Yep.
It may spread to more people, but Ray, you remember in our history of American sports, there have been a few times over the we've had these kinds of scandals.
Well, the big name we all talk about is Pete Rose, and the question about betting on baseball and did he bet on his own team and so on. But this is so much bigger than that. You're talking about many different players. You're talking about enormous sums of money, and you're talking about not tricked into it, Fred, not tricked into it, but they go into it. Even though you're making, one of these guys I just saw had a $96 million contract. So why would you do it, even if you're going to make $100,000 or $200,000? The temptation is always there, and it looks like FBI's been on this case for over a year.
Yeah. NYPD says about 2 years investigation.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you guys. I don't understand, given the money that you make playing today, I don't know why you would do something like this for, $100,000 is a lot of money to us, but for these guys, it's not a lot of money if you're making $10 million a year, for example, like some of these. But anyway, I guess more will be released and announced today. But the idea of throwing games just is so repulsive to people who enjoy watching athletic competition, because you're thinking, why did this player
Mm-hmm.
You know, your mind starts to go, is this game fixed?
Yeah.
You know, is this game so?
I've already seen, I mean, hardly a day goes by without somebody throwing out something. It's long been rumored that, in certain people's words, the NFL is rigged, and this only feeds those kinds of rumors.
But now, I would say this: this is. I know it's going to be 30-plus people involved or whatever. At this time, probably be more to be announced. However, 99.9% of athletes are not going to participate in this kind of activity,
right.
throwing games, because their competitive instincts won't allow for it, number one, and they know that they'll get in serious trouble should they be found out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other part, it's not just sports games, it's rigged poker games.
Yeah, what is that about?
Well, that's
is this a separate story?
Related. They encompass, they're related. These are rigged poker games backed by the mafia. We're talking about games set up where there are cameras underneath the table, cameras in the chandeliers.
Is this in Las Vegas or where is this? Do you know?
I'm not. Well, it's New York. This news conference was in New York.
Okay.
So we're talking. So people get invited. I don't understand all of this completely,
Right.
but people get invited to games where there are other people controlling. They can see the cards in front of them.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been going on for years.
Right.
But apparently this is on a massive scale run by the mafia.
Wow.
Well, and I think part of it, Fred, is on these rigged poker games that you get the marks, so to speak, and you charge them a certain amount of money to come play poker, and they don't know it. They're going to lose everything. But one of the players around the table is an NBA player, present or former. And that draws people like flies to honey, right?
Yes, yeah.
You know, people are going to come out for that. So it's a very sophisticated kind of scam.
Well,
and
I told Allison there's a reason I'm losing here, and it's not me.
Yeah,
and she
That's
didn't
right.
believe
Couldn't be
me.
me.
But now I got some evidence.
Yeah.
Right.
To give people an idea of how big at least one of these people that, again, has been charged here, Chauncey Billups is the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers NBA team. He was inducted last year into the Basketball Hall of Fame. He played in the NBA for 17 years and was a 5-time All-Star. So this is not like a little fish in a big pond.
He's very
they got
well
a
known.
shark.
Now, what's he being accused of?
He's been arrested along with Terry Rozier, and they're charged with these other people in connection with schemes involving illegal sports betting and rigged poker games. That's the wording that the FBI announced today or used.
All right, well, we'll see what happens there. That's a breaking story, so there'll be more developments later on today.
Yeah.
But it's so serious that the Federal Bureau of Investigation's chief, Kash Patel, is having a news conference on this. Right?
Oh yeah. We'll stay with AFN because if the Lord tarries today, we will have more on this throughout today.
All right. You're listening to Today's Issues. What's your next story?
Well, let's keep it with sports for just a moment because this is also a cultural issue. Late yesterday afternoon, the Minnesota Supreme Court decided the state's Human Rights Act supports males competing against women in weightlifting competition. This is a case that's been going on for several years involving an individual that identifies or uses the name J.C. Cooper, a male who claims to be a woman, and J.C. has wanted to compete against women in the women's division of weightlifting, and he claimed it was discriminatory for the state not to allow him to compete against women. And the Minnesota
we
Supreme
talked
Court
about
ruled.
this yesterday. This decision is in the state of Minnesota by their Supreme Court.
Yes.
And Minnesota is a blue state now. I mean, it's got some red parts to it outside of the Twin Cities, but it's been taken over basically by the wokesters, by the secular progressives. So this Supreme Court, this case goes, the student here, who was a dude who said he was a girl and he wanted to compete against girls in weightlifting. That's what this was about. And this is wound its way through the courts there, because this is like 5 or 6 years ago. So this student is long gone from the high school, but the decision came down to by the Minnesota Supreme Court to say that biological males can compete against girls, or what did they say exactly?
What this The Minnesota Supreme Court, by the way, all its members appointed by Democrat governors in that state.
Yeah, it's far left.
Oh, yeah. What the court decided yesterday is that they decided in favor of this guy because his claim of being a girl is supported by the Human Rights Act of Minnesota. However, the court sent part of the case back to the lower court to determine whether USA Powerlifting, who bought the case, they favor just women playing in women's sports, has a, quote, legitimate business purpose for excluding J.C. Cooper. In other words, they're opening the door to the possibility that, yes, the Human Rights Act says this, and we agree with it. However, perhaps their argument that allowing a guy, a biological male, to compete against more fragile women, there is a legitimate business purpose for not allowing a biological male to compete. Yeah. So the story isn't over yet.
Yeah. All right, next story, Chris.
Man, like, where do we even go? Let's begin here. President Trump has announced some new, tougher economic sanctions on Russia, specifically their oil revenues, because a lot of countries in Europe and other parts of the world rely on Russia for oil and natural gas. And President Trump seems to think that now is a time in which we need to slap some new, tougher sanctions on Russia to try to get Vladimir Putin to end his war with Ukraine here. I've got some audio of President. I think this has a little music underneath it because it was used in that way by Fox. But clip 14.
The two biggest oil companies, among the biggest in the world, but they're Russian. They do a lot of oil. And hopefully it'll push, hopefully he'll become reasonable, and hopefully Zelensky will be reasonable too. You know, it takes two to tango, as they say.
So, Ray, you been following this at all?
Yeah, and number one, we have put so many sanctions on Russia already. I'm surprised there's anything left for us to do. Number two, it is quite true. The Russian economy is not great and has not been great for a while, and they do rely heavily upon the oil trade. So I'm not sure exactly what these sanctions are or how they're going to work. But when you listen to Mr. Trump, he is just the consummate deal maker, right? Maybe this will change Putin's mind. Maybe Mr. Zelensky, it takes two to tango. He's still hanging on to his dream of using this as a carrot and stick approach to solve the Russia-Ukraine war, which grinds on and on and on.
I'm like you. I didn't know there were any sanctions left to impose, and why we haven't done this earlier, Fred. Do you have any?
Well, I think it's one of those sanctions that's kind of, it's one thing to freeze Russian assets, like in banks around the world, which has already been done. But it's another thing to say we want countries to stop buying their oil from Russia. Countries need oil to exist.
Right.
So this is
kind of like food.
Kind of like food, yeah. So this is a tougher one to implement. You're going to go to a country and say, we want you, in the name of trying to stop the Ukrainian war, to stop buying the fuel that you use to run your cars and your economy.
Yeah. That's like asking America to quit buying tennis shoes from China.
Basically,
it's impossible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can ask, but people aren't going to stop.
Yeah.
That was a bad analogy, but I think people get the idea. It's so what got me was to learn that Russia sells oil to NATO countries.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And NATO countries are the ones who are most upset about his invasion of Ukraine, other than the Ukrainians themselves.
Yeah. Hindsight is 20/20, but Canada, the U.S., and Mexico could have done some sort of North American equivalent to OPEC years ago and prevented this conversation from happening.
But no, we don't buy.
No, we go
with the U.S., Canada. They don't buy oil from Russia.
We actually still do bring in oil from other parts of the world, but we don't get it from Russia.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see what happens.
I thought that last comment from President Trump was interesting. Kind of like these two have to come to the table. Zelensky has to make some compromising. So I think where Trump is right now is one way to stop this, get the sanctions in place. But Zelensky's going to have to give up some of that territory that Russia has won.
You did see that Russia's now bombing Kyiv.
Oh, yeah.
With drones and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a picture, just made you cry yesterday, of a kindergarten center that Russia hit in Kyiv, which is the capital and largest city of Ukraine, and it was terrible. To see that happening, to innocent little babies being killed. But did you see that, Ray? Did you see that story?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's in the news. Just type in Ukrainian kindergarten and you'll see that story. I don't know. Who knows when this will end? It's been a meat grinder for 3 years now.
Yeah.
And most people thought it'd be over in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the Ukrainian fighters have at least held off the Russians from taking over the whole country. I don't know how much. Do the Russians control like a third of what was of the Ukraine now?
They certainly control segments of the eastern quarter of the country.
Yeah. How would you? I don't want to get into this too much, but how would you, if you're Zelensky? How would you? He's just being told to surrender or give up?
Those segments on the eastern part of the Ukraine.
Okay.
That's what Trump wants him to do.
Okay. Would that be the end of the war then? You think so? That's what.
Well, my understanding from what I've read in the last few days is that Putin says, no, I want more than those couple of segments in the southeastern part of the country.
Yeah. Ray, have you had any communication at all with the folks there in Ukraine?
Yeah, and they are so weary. All the people I know have suffered greatly. In fact, I don't know, of all the Ukrainians I know, I don't know any of them haven't been touched deeply and personally by this war. And so they are praying desperately that it comes to an end. Nearly all of them have lost friends.
Probably multiple friends and family.
Yes, in the battles, a lot of them have lost their homes. And if I could venture an opinion, they're willing to fight on. They, as tired and weary as they are willing to fight on because they think Putin will stop at nothing until he conquers all of Ukraine.
Okay, so we might as well. It's either fight them now or fight them later.
That's right.
Yeah, I got you. Mm-hmm. Well, I know President Trump means well, and I know a lot of people are suspicious of Zelensky, and Ukrainians in the past have, been like a lot of the world. They've had a lot of corruption, but at the same time, it was Russia that invaded Ukraine physically. Now they would say, well, we were provoked. I know what people say, and so the people of the Ukraine, remember, 1 million of them left immediately, right? Especially women and children, huh? Mm-hmm. To go to, remember that?
Yeah.
So they've just had their country turned upside down, and their lives turned upside down. And I just, to be told you got to give up half your country or whatever like that by President Trump, that's a tough pill to swallow, I guess. I don't know exactly what President Trump's, from here, I've understood what President Trump was trying to do up to here, but if we're not going to give, if we, the United States, are not going to give the Ukrainians any help, militarily or monetarily, any longer, I don't know what role President Trump has to play in this any longer. Do you know? It's really between Zelensky and Putin.
That's what it comes down to.
And,
well,
it's a death match, basically, over there.
Zelensky feels that he could win it if he had more support from the United States.
Yeah, but he's not getting it.
No. I mean, they talked about the Tomahawk missiles.
For it, and Trump may tease him every once in a while with maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll do that, but I don't think Trump's going to do anything
so far
to provoke these economic sanctions, anything militarily to provoke a war between the United States and Russia, for example.
Right.
All right, you're listening to Today's Issues. How many people died over there in Ukrainian-Russian war? Do any estimates? I mean, like a couple 100,000, or is it more
Russia, according to one report, I mentioned this maybe 2 weeks ago on the show, Russia has supposedly lost 1 million people.
Wow.
Well, they've got conscripts. Is that what you call them?
Yes, and they've recently called up more people.
They've also got mercenaries. I'm talking about Russia does, and they've also got they even pulled in some soldiers from North Korea.
Right, right.
Kids.
I mean,
Well,
reports.
they pulled in, but no, those North Korean soldiers had no vote in the matter. They were sent by their own dictator and put out there in the field as slaughter for the Ukrainians. Right. Go ahead.
Let me say this real quick. I looked this up in the show live one time because Ed asked that very question. How many people have died on both sides? Reports are all over the place, but like just to show you, I mean, when you Google it, how many lives have been lost in Ukraine? One report pops up that says approximately 1 million casualties
Between the two sides.
Oh, just in Russia.
Oh, Russians.
Yeah.
Russian
now
alone.
you're going to see other reports with much smaller numbers, so take that into account. But there are allegations or claims out there that Russia has lost approximately 1 million people.
Yeah. All right. I tell you what. Let's take our break right here, and when we get back, Dr. Alex McFarland will join us, and we haven't talked to Alex in a while. And he's the co-host of Exploring the Word each afternoon here on American Family Radio with Brother Bert Harper. Tim, Fred, Chris, and Ray, we thank you for listening. That's our names. We thank you for listening, and we shall return momentarily with more of today's issues on American Family Radio.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Reader's Digest, the little magazine that we all love to read, carried an interesting story. It went like this. After a swim in the pool at the University of California's Berkeley campus, a professor found that his shoes and socks were missing from the locker room. Since the weather was mild, he decided to walk barefoot to a nearby shoe store, attired in a business suit, white shirt, and tie. He was somewhat disappointed when no one gave him a second glance. The climax came, though, when the clerk, after fitting him with shoes and socks, inquired coolly, "Would you like to wear them, sir, or shall I wrap them up?" Incidentally, talking about water, here's another story. A.T. Kelly of West Point, Mississippi, came home with a fish tail. He had lost his wallet, he said, in Grenada Lake while fishing. It contained $120. Well, 2 years later, Ewell Dobie of Grenada, Mississippi, was wading in the lake and found Kelly's billfold. Yep, the $120 was still in it. Now let's go a little bit farther with our tale about fishing. It seems that John Culshaw of Hamilton, England, had an unusual catch while fishing. He snagged his line and reeled in what he thought was an old jacket, but it turned out to be a drowning baby boy, 20-month-old Samuel Roger, who had toddled away from home. For 10 minutes, Culshaw and his wife applied mouth-to-mouth resuscitation until the baby started breathing again. Maybe Culshaw didn't realize it, but he was following quite literally the words of our Master, "I will make you fishers of men." No, the carpenter didn't mean catching toddlers in jackets. He was talking about catching men and women and boys and girls in the world in which we live. And you know that fellow Peter, the one that we have nicknamed the Big Fisherman? He knew quite well what the Galilean meant. And Peter became one of the greatest fishers of men that the world has ever known. You know, I get the idea that the carpenter would like to have more fishers of men in this world. Sometimes I think that we have been fishing for other things, money, position, power, fame, and this has caused a great deal of the emptiness and meaninglessness which is visible in the world today. I guess that one of the reasons there haven't been more fishers of men, and perhaps the major reason, is that it is a very demanding and exacting job. And then again, the reward isn't great either, as the world counts greatness. And it is often a disappointing job because people are not easily caught sometimes. Maybe the reason there have been few fishers of men is that the job is so large that very few have had the courage to tackle it. You see, it takes a real person, to be a fisher of men in the world in which we live. It's not a job for weaklings or sissies. Yep, the Galilean could use some more fishers of men. Any volunteers?
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
However, as it is written, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things that God has prepared for those who love Him. 1 Corinthians 2:9.
American Family Radio.
This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim Wildman with Fred Jackson and Chris Woodward, and we are joined by our brother Ray Pritchard, raised in Kansas City. We three are in Tupelo, and our one of our Tar Heel friends is on the phone, but they may be traveling today. That is Dr. Alex McFarland. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning.
Where are you?
Good morning. Yes, I am in North Carolina, getting ready to make it to Greensboro on time, we hope, for Exploring the Word this afternoon.
So you got a speaking engagement tonight or something?
I do. And then going to Pittsburgh in the morning. We've got a Biblical Worldview weekend at a church outside of Pittsburgh. But next week I'll be with, Angie and I will be with Bert and Jan at the Fishbowl Retreat at Pickwick Landing State Park, which I think is in Tennessee, actually.
Yes, it's on the Mississippi-Tennessee border there. Yeah, about an hour from where we are, but well, that's wonderful. I wanted to ask you, Alex. By the way, you and Bert Harper have written how many books now together?
3.
3, and you got another one planned?
Well, the publisher that we've been working with, Broad Street, they said, "Hey, we like what you guys do. Give it about 2 years, and then we'll take what you got next."
Well, I just wondered because we've been promoting those during our share-a-thons, and I know folks love what you and Bert have to do each afternoon, and they love your books too.
Well, we give God the glory, and Tim, I'm just so indebted to you for having the idea for the show, Exploring the Word.
I'm not looking for that kind of attention. But please, Alex, stop.
But,
no, I mean, if you want to go on for another minute or two, then we need them. Huh? So I don't. Does it seem like I'm trying to draw
Yes.
to? Okay.
For those that may not know, about I guess it was about 5 or maybe 6 years ago, Bert and I did the first book, and we thought it would be just a one and done, but we did 100 Bible questions and answers.
Yep.
And these were the actual questions from the listeners of Exploring the Word. And I kind of keep a notebook, and I write down, especially when we get something kind of new or unusual. And that book did really well, and that book wound up in Barnes & Noble bookstore, which was really an honor for Bert and I. And then the publisher said, "Hey, we want more." So about 2.5 years ago, we did one on 100 Bible questions for families, and deals a lot with marriage and parenting and God's word for the family. And then the publisher said, "Hey, what next?" And so it was 2 years ago we started working on the book that just released 2 weeks ago, October 7th. And Tim, I thought it was interesting because it's 100 Bible questions on prophecy and the end times. A lot in there about Israel and the role of Israel in end-time events. And so they said, well, let's make the release date October 7, 2025. And October 7, 2023 was the day that Hamas attacked Israel so brutally. And, our book came out on the 2-year anniversary of that and the very same week that the Gaza peace agreement was so much in the news. So a book on prophecy that released in certainly prophetic times.
Let me ask you, Alex, talking about the Jews and the fact that that group of people, do you call the Jews a race or just an ethnic group or what? Or both?
I would say it's an ethnic group. And, you know, it's certainly religious and ethnic. You know, there's
the ethnic part. The ethnic part of it, I'm talking about, I guess. And I wanted to ask you this question because, and Ray, you can comment, Fred, whatever. When people look at the history of the Bible and the authenticity and they question the authenticity of the Bible or the accuracy of the Bible, for example, in terms of history, in terms of theology, but if you're going to say the Bible is just a book of fables and fairy tales, then I have to look at, wait a minute, the Bible, at least in the Old Testament, primarily is about the relationship between God and the Jews, right? Mm-hmm. Got any affirmation here, fellas?
Yes.
Or y'all going to leave me out here by myself?
No, that's right.
Can I get an amen?
Yes.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
Okay, so, I mean, y'all just sat there quiet, and I'm going like, did I say something wrong? Okay, so I'm going to ask you first, Alex, and then Ray can comment. What the fact that the Jews are still around today, after all these thousands of years, and we go back to at least Abraham, right, and Moses, and that's thousands of years ago, and they're still here today. You don't see any Philistines running around, or Canaanites, or the different ites, the Hittites, and the different ites. Now you got Egyptians, but I'm talking about that's a nationality basically. So anyway, go ahead and comment on that if you would.
Yeah, and you know what's so amazing? Well, like Mark Twain, who was a professed atheist, and this was even before the rebirth of the nation of Israel, but back in the late 19th century, Mark Twain said, if there's anything that makes me believe in God and the supernatural, it's the Jewish people. And an incredibly tiny ethnicity, yet disproportionately huge in terms of their influence, their resilience, their longevity. And every Jewish person on the planet is descended from 4 women: Sarah, Rachel, Leah, Rebecca. Sarah, Rachel, Leah, Rebecca. And I was on a show about a month ago with 2 representatives of the Jewish Federation of North America, and they were talking about how they are meticulous in preserving their family lineages. And it is a miraculous people. And I would say there are many compelling lines of evidence that tell us the Bible is God's infallible word. But for any skeptic that would wonder, is the Bible really supernatural? It's a supernatural book about a miraculous Savior, but God sent Jesus through this miraculous people group, the Jews.
Yeah. Right?
A while back, I was teaching through the book of Joshua, and I ran across this, I guess you'd call it a PowerPoint picture, and this Joshua picture of the Holy Land and all the enemies that Joshua faced. I mean, there's Joshua and his people, but you have the Hittites, the Hivites, the Girgashites, the Canaanites, the Amorites, all the Ite brothers, right? They're all there. The Girgashites are gone, the Hivites are gone, the Hittites are gone, the Ammonites are gone, the Amorites are gone, the Canaanites are gone. All of them are gone, but the Jewish people remain. And it's fascinating. Alex mentioned Mark Twain. I have a book I've been reading on and off by the great Anglican Bishop J.C. Ryle in the 1800s, and he argued strongly for 2 things. Number one, that the fact that the Jewish people have survived so long and so far is the direct providential hand of God. Yes. And he predicted in the 1800s, late 1800s, there must be a regathering of the Jewish people in their ancestral homeland.
Yes.
And he lived and died
Amen.
without seeing that come to pass. But in 1948, according to the hand and the providence of God, it happened. The Jews have remained, while those who have attacked them and tried to kill them have disappeared.
Fred?
Well, also just to bring it right up to date, there is no rational reason why the Jewish people are hated. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What happened after October 2023? Within 48 hours, there were anti-Israel protests. Doesn't make sense. They had just been attacked.
Right.
2 days before. Right. 1,200 people massacred. Yet on the streets of New York and other university campuses, you had people out saying Israel's the bad guy. This doesn't make sense rationally. It doesn't make sense rationally that the people surrounding Israel, the countries around there, I mean, Israel faces threats from them every day.
Other than anti-Semitism,
Yes.
that would only be the quote rational part of this.
Yes, but Israel doesn't go out and attack people unless they are defending themselves.
Right.
They are not the aggressors. Unlike Iran, some of these other countries, Israel just simply wants to exist and defend itself in the little
sliver of land on planet Earth.
Stamp land.
Yes.
Remember what God gave them. I was just reading it again this morning. Guys from Genesis 15. From the Nile to the Euphrates, God said, this is your land. So they're on a tiny, tiny portion of that. And and they're having to fight to keep that.
I know when people say, well, this is the land of that the Jews stole the Palestinians' land to create the nation of Israel, which basically what Palestine was not a country, okay, prior to 1948. But they never talk about, wait a minute, the history of the Jews in the land of Israel goes back thousands of years, okay? So that if you want to go about whose land it is, historically speaking, it would be the Jews, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
All right. So Alex, so you and Bert, the 100 Bible questions on prophecy and end times, we use that to send to all our people who gave us a donation of a certain amount during our share-a-thon. So people should be receiving that book any day now, that next week or so. We've been putting those. We put those in the mail, so it's out of our hands. But I just wanted people to know. Well, I'm looking for the book. Well, it's in the mail, and you'll get it if you made a donation during our share-a-thon to American Family Radio. Well, Alex, thanks so much for being on with us. So you and Bert are going to be live this afternoon?
Yes, and we'll be wrapping up the book of 2 Peter, and we're in 2 Peter chapter 3 if people want to read ahead. And join us at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, and in the time zone of your choice.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it very much.
God bless you guys. Thanks.
Okay. Brother Alex, he's on the phone. I guess he's in his car maybe.
Probably, yeah.
But he's on his phone. Usually he joins us from his house there in North Carolina. He lives on a peanut farm. No, not a peanut farm. Yeah, it's a peanut farm.
He does. He makes his own peanut butter.
Yeah. Yeah, who can say that on this panel, right?
Not me.
For Spring Share-a-thon, we're going to have a book about peanut butter.
Fred, you make your own peanut butter?
No, sir.
Chris?
No.
Adam Sudduth, our producer over here, you make your own peanut butter?
I make myself go to the grocery store to buy the peanut butter.
Buy the peanut butter. Alex makes his own.
He does.
I've tasted his peanut butter.
Delicious.
It's rich.
Yeah.
It really is.
All right, what's your next story there,
Well,
Chris?
let's since we were talking about Israel and just Bible topics and things like that, I want to take a moment to focus for a minute or two on this kidnapped missionary in Niger. News broke yesterday, or actually late Monday night. The U.S. government has confirmed this, that an American Christian missionary was kidnapped in the West African nation of Niger, which some people now pronounce as Niger. Sources told Fox News that they suspect that the missionary has been taken north to Islamic State-controlled areas where an offshoot of ISIS operates. And I bring all this up because I've got some audio here of Tennessee pastor Josh Sullivan. Some people might remember Pastor Sullivan as being the missionary that was kidnapped months ago in South Africa. He was rescued days later, and he had this to say about the situation involving this American missionary in Niger. Clip 13.
Yeah, there's very little details, and I think that's intentional. I know with ours, our story was shot out so quickly, and there was a lot of missed things, and it's probably a good thing that there's not a lot of details. We just need to pray, definitely, for this individual, have a lot of people praying on our behalf for him, and God obviously can do big things. He did big things in our life, and he can do the same in this individual's life, and I just would kind of ask for Christians to pray again for this man.
Niger is different than Nigeria.
Two separate countries, yeah.
You know where this is, Ray?
Yeah, that's in. I'm going to say that's North Africa, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're trying.
Niger is. I'm looking. Niger is. Looks like to me it's just below the Saharan Desert, in the middle of Africa.
It's landlocked.
It's landlocked.
Yeah.
It borders Algeria, Chad, Libya, right there. So it. But
Oh, it's just north of Niger. Is just north of Nigeria.
That's right. That's right. So this gentleman, American missionary, kidnapped.
Yeah.
And so, there are dangerous parts of the world where American missionaries, Canadian too, go into to spread the word of God, to share the gospel of Christ, to minister to people. They're called to be foreign missionaries, and they go places that are not stable all the time. And this gentleman here. Any more information on him? How old he is, or anything?
It's been
what his name is
lacking in terms of detail.
Okay.
We know he was a pilot, serving as a pilot. He's been in Niger for, I think, 10 years.
Yes, it's 2010.
And what mission board does he serve with? Does it say?
In a story that Steve's been working on, he worked with a missionary board called SIM.
Right. That used to be called Sudan Interior Mission 100+ years ago, and then now they've taken the SIM and they've put different words to it. But yeah, I know. I have known a lot of people who serve with SIM, and most of them serving in places like Chad, Nigeria, Sudan, Mali, going to some, Tim, you're talking tough areas. Those areas, very, very tough.
Well, in Nigeria, just so far this year, I think 7,000 Christians have been massacred by Muslim radicals.
Listen, the Muslims attacking the Christians in Africa is like a perpetual problem for Christians who just want to live in peace, but the Muslims that and a lot of I'm not saying all the Muslims are militants or terrorists, but the ones attacking in Nigeria seem to be wanting to crush the Christians just because they're Christians and they're not Muslims.
That is correct.
And so they're terrorizing them, and as you say, how many thousands have
7,000 so far this year
in Nigeria?
In Nigeria.
Thousands of Christians have died.
And the government is either unwilling or unable to stop it.
Tony Perkins has done he's covered a lot of the situation in Nigeria in recent days, and we air Washington Watch every day at 4 to 5 Central on AFR. So check that out for more information on Nigeria, in addition to all the mission-minded programs that we also offer.
Yeah, and of course we have friends of our ministry in Togo, which is not too far from Nigeria, actually. But there you have there's a clash there along the central part of. I'm not an expert on this, but particularly the central part of Africa, where the Islamic world comes down and meets the Christian, or not necessarily Christian. Some are Christian, but non-Muslim world. How about that? I put it that way. And there seem to be always at war. There's coups all the time. Africa just is a very unstable continent and always has been. And it's just like one coup after another in the same, in the various and different countries. Do you know the history of Africa? Was that divided after World War I, Ray? Do you know the answer to that?
You mean
the countries divided up? Who divided up the countries of Africa to make them?
Well, you have French-speaking Africa.
Yes.
You have English-speaking Africa.
Right.
you've got Dutch-speaking Africa like Mozambique, right, in Angola. So the British had Uganda, and the French had Ivory Coast. And
this is the colonization period
the
in
colonization
human history.
period, right.
Back in the
right.
17 and 1800s, probably.
Right.
I just wonder who divided all this, because they seem to, the lines are just drawn up like arbitrarily here in the countries of, a lot of that happened after World War I believe.
I'm sure that's right.
I'm correct. You know anything about that?
No,
Okay.
but the way Ray has described it there, according the colonization period.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, the big problem, particularly there in the northern part, are the Muslims.
Yeah.
And they are becoming more
Boko
radical.
Haram. People have heard of that. That's like the ISIS of Africa.
Yeah,
Yes.
they predate ISIS. We were doing stories on Boko Haram when I started here 15 plus years
That's
ago.
an Islamic terrorist group in Africa. All right, next story, Chris.
Man,
What do you got left?
Well, let's do this.
We got 7 minutes.
Yes.
You got any good news?
Unfortunately,
Dig
no.
down in there and find us some good news.
I'll play this.
Stuff here.
I'll play this because it might get some chuckles from the panel. Democrats continue to voice outrage over Donald Trump wanting to reconstruct some things and do some things differently at the White House with this ballroom.
Oh, he's doing it differently, all right.
He is. Now,
Get the wrecking ball out.
Democrats, including Hillary Clinton, who 25 years ago was in the news, even mainstream liberal news organizations, for taking furniture and silverware from the White House. Democrats continue
You
to
mean
blast.
up on there when they left?
Yes.
The Clintons left and they loaded up the
forks and knives
like Jed Clampett.
Yes. So Democrats, including Hillary Clinton this week, have blasted Donald Trump. How dare you do this? It's the people's house. It's not your house, things like that. Josh Hawley, from the senator from Missouri, had a few things to say about this.
Let me, excuse me for interrupting. I know I do this. It's rare that I interrupt. But I would just wanted people to know exactly what's happened here, because we're not moving around the furniture.
No.
Okay, President Trump, and I'm not criticizing him, okay, has demolished the East Wing. Okay, I'm talking about like HGTV type stuff. Okay, you're just demolishing because he's building a grand ballroom.
Mm-hmm.
To replace the East Wing of the White House. So that's what some people, the liberals, are outraged over.
Yeah,
right?
liberals just wake up every day and find something
they
about
have
Donald Trump
TDS,
to gripe about. So Democrats are making allegations and saying, how dare Donald Trump do this? Their friends in the news media continue to air their criticism. Here's what Republican Senator Josh Hawley had to say about the Dem outrage. Clip 16.
What about just uprooting this is an iconic building?
Mono, I will just say this. I made this point yesterday, that I hear all of a sudden from my liberal friends that they're very concerned about our history. Really, these are the same people who tore down every statue they could get their hands on in the last 4 years. Christopher Columbus, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt. They didn't have any concern for history then. Now all of a sudden, the facade of the East Wing is iconic. Oh, give me a break. Give me a break.
That's good from Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri. I will say this: there's always been down through history somebody built the East Wing.
Yes.
So there's been changes on the White House grounds down through history, and so President Obama built a basketball court out there. So somebody put the bowling alley in
Richard Nixon. If you'll remember, in 2012, the economy was not very good at the time, and people said, hey, we're broke. We don't have the money for things like a presidential inauguration, and Obama still brought out all the stops for his, re-swearing-in ceremony.
Let's keep in mind the renovations being done by President Trump, no taxpayers' dollars.
Really?
He's using his own money, and he's got investors, including Comcast. They have donated to the cost of building this ballroom. And Comcast, they own MSNBC, I believe.
They have been the owner. I think they're trying to get rid of it. But there's a connection there.
Yes.
Okay, the two bowling alleys, a single lane one in the West Wing and the 2-lane Truman bowling alley in the basement of the Eisenhower Executive Office. The Truman Alley was originally built in the West Wing in 1947.
President Nixon might have had some cassette tapes of him talking about things.
The
with
single lane
people over
alley, to
bowling.
Chris's point, the single lane alley. Are y'all interested in this?
Oh,
or you
yeah.
don't care? Okay. Because I'll stop if you don't care. The single lane alley in the White House, the bowling alley, was built, as Chris said, by President Nixon in 1973. So there you go. But you know what? I saw the plans that President Trump, he released those plans, a couple of weeks ago. It looked like a beautiful new facility there at the White House to replace the East Wing. It's a grand ballroom, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll have multi-purposes, but I just don't know, what, well, I do know, like you said, the liberals are just going to complain about anything President Trump does.
They wake up every day
it's
scheming to complain about something.
But in this case, the plans look beautiful to me. What I saw, it looked like probably a much needed upgrade there, because they still do have some, formal meetings in the East Wing. Most things are in the West Wing. So
they've done some work on the Rose Garden too.
Yeah,
and he explained that the other day.
Right.
They put kind of a rock finishing on the lawn. Because he said the chairs were sinking into the mud every time they had an event there. So he had to stop.
I've been there twice. I'm not bragging. Once
I've seen the outside.
Once I did go for a dinner at the White House with Christian leaders.
Yeah.
There was about 100 of us there. That was about 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
Or whenever
it was the first term.
2017 or 18, right in there. And President Trump and the First Lady hosted the dinner. And I got pictures to prove it.
Yeah. What'd you have? What's the menu?
Oh, wow. I think I had steak.
Steak?
Yeah, steak.
From Argentina?
Good one, Fred. I think it was a what's for dinner, American beef. We'll be back in a minute. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Teenage years can be a time of trial. It can be really difficult, but it can also be the most fun and the best years of your parenting.
Dr. Jessica Peck is a pediatric nurse practitioner as well as a professor, author, and mother of 4. Dr. Peck is host of the Dr. Nurse Mama Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Central, and find her podcast at afr.net.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. Senate Republicans are trying to turn up the heat on Democrats. They're taking a test vote today on paying essential federal workers who have been on the job during the shutdown but without a paycheck. Chad Pergram has more.
It's a dare by Senate Republicans. The GOP wants Democrats to either pay essential workers or make them keep working without a paycheck. Pennsylvania Democrat John Fetterman previously voted with the GOP to fund the government.
I'm a country over party guy. I'm always going to vote to pay our military over the party. If I pay a price within my base, that's something I'm willing to do.
Fetterman is one of 3 senators who caucuses with the Democrats who voted to open the government.
Democrats are losing their minds over something else President Donald Trump is doing. Trump Organization Vice President Donald Trump Jr. says their latest meltdown comes because the president, at no expense to taxpayers, is improving the White House.
Because they're insane. They have nothing else to talk about anymore. They've lost the plot. They've stopped making any kind of sense. They've had to resort to violence because everything else they've tried to do is failing. The great irony of my father actually improving the White House. A construction guy, a guy that's known for building and building luxury, is actually improving the White House with private funding, his own and other donors. It's costing the taxpayer nothing. It's making the White House more usable. So the Democrats freaking out about it is absolutely insane. I think the greatest irony that I saw in all of this was Hillary Clinton talking about it being the people's house. Hillary Clinton, who with her husband literally literally had to return furniture and silverware that they stole from the White House. That was actually the property of the people. They took it with them after their term. They had to return it because people caught them stealing the furniture.
Several prominent NBA players and coaches have been arrested as part of a widespread sports gambling investigation. Nate Foy with the latest.
Right now, we're learning at least 31 people so far have been arrested as part of an FBI investigation into illegal sports betting in the NBA and also an illegal poker scheme. Big-name coach and player Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, as well as a lesser-known player and coach Damon Jones. So far, the three names that we know, but we'll start with Rozier. This comes after an investigation was reported by the Wall Street Journal into him, a federal investigation back in January that looked into a game back when he played for the Charlotte Hornets in 2023, where there was strange betting patterns that emerged in a game where he left early, and there were a lot of bets on the under for his points, rebounds, and assists.
The head of the Chicago Teachers Union is getting a promotion, though not everyone thinks it's a good idea. Chris Woodward explains.
Stacey Davis Gates has been elected to lead the Illinois Federation of Teachers. The union thinks she's a great hire, calling her an internationally recognized leader in labor, racial justice movements, and progressive politics, adding that she helped elect former school teacher Brandon Johnson as mayor of Chicago. The Wall Street Journal is not fond of the hire. In a scathing op-ed, the editorial board wrote that Davis Gates presided over the educational failures of Chicago public schools, adding that less than a third of Chicago 8th grade students are proficient in reading and math. Corey DeAngelis of American Culture Project made similar comments to AFN.
The Chicago public school system has been an absolute dumpster fire under Stacey Davis Gates' watch. There are 55 Chicago public schools with not a single child proficient in math, and it's not because they don't spend enough money. They spend nearly $30,000 per student per year, and for what? The money goes towards enriching the dues-paying members of the teachers union, and it doesn't go into the classroom for the kids.
I'm Chris Woodward.
U.S. stocks are drifting near their record heights today as oil prices jump after President Trump announced new sanctions on Russia's crude industry. More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty Pugh.
If we lose this cultural war, we're going to have a hedonistic, humanistic society.
Discover the story of the culture warrior Don Wildmon and how he went head-to-head with Hollywood, Playboy, the homosexual agenda, and the Disney empire. The movement Don started paved the way for Christians to boldly stand for truth and righteousness in a hostile culture. Watch Culture Warrior today for free. Visit culturewarrior.movie.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. Today's Thursday, October the 23rd. I'm Tim Wildmon with Fred Jackson and Ray's in Kansas City. Ray Pritchard, Ray's with us most Tuesdays and Thursdays. And now Steve Paisley-Jordahl takes Chris Woodward's seat here in our studio here in Tupelo.
Hey, everybody.
Good morning,
Hey.
Steve Paisley-Jordahl. Rocking this Paisley.
I do.
again.
I have the red, white, and blue Paisley on today.
If people want to send you Paisley products or shirts or
Oh, my gosh.
how can they do that? Just send it to
You can send it to Tim, and Tim will give it to me
No,
during the show.
we're just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
no,
I'm just kidding. Steve
I
buys
got plenty.
Yeah, Steve buys his own clothes, people. You don't have to do
Or
that.
sometimes my wife buys them for me.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, what's your first story?
I wanted to fill in some holes here just so that people, on this missionary thing, so people could pray effectively. You guys covered it well, but the missionary's name is Kevin Rideout.
Okay.
And he'd been with what is now called Serving in Mission International, which was, as Ray said, Sudan Interior Missions for 15 years. And it's almost certainly a Muslim group that has kidnapped him. They haven't named them yet. One of the last times they kidnapped somebody, they held him for 6 years, 5 of those chained to a tree. So it's likely that things are really going poorly for Kevin Rideout. So please, if you're praying, that's who you should pray for. Kevin Rideout is his name.
And Ray, is this the mission sending agency you're familiar with?
Yeah, and I have known SIM missionaries for many years. They have a wonderful missionary home for their retired folks down in Sebring, Florida, and I've been down there on 2 different occasions. Some of the strongest and most valiant people, Christians, heroic Christian missionaries with SIM, taking the gospel for over 100 years into some pretty tough places around the world.
Yeah.
All right. Any more news that you know of about this breaking story about gambling in the NBA?
I haven't. I've been spending the last hour prepping for this half hour, so I haven't been very focused on it. I know that there's. You guys covered it well. I don't have anything.
It's a big story.
Yeah.
I don't know any more maybe than what we knew an hour ago, but it's big enough for the FBI director, Kash Patel, to have a press conference. Is he in New York City today?
In New York, yes.
And he's announcing the lead headline for this story says, and this is talking about gambling and the NBA, Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups, Miami Heat, that's a team in Miami, NBA team, guard Terry Rozier, and former NBA guard and coach Damon Jones were among the more than 24 arrested as part of a widespread FBI investigation on Thursday. The federal investigation involved multiple agencies and the NYPD as they targeted the La Cosa Nostra crime families.
That would be the mafia.
Okay. Everybody knows that, right?
Yeah.
The officials said that Billups, Rozier, and Jones faced charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. So anyway, I don't know how much. It's yet to be told how much of this involves the accusation of throwing games.
Well, I did hear one accusation was of one of the stars, and I don't remember who it was. Maybe Rozier, but people bet on over and under how many points he would score in a game and how many rebounds he would have.
How many he would personally? Oh, I got you.
Right.
He could control that.
And he took himself out of the game with a very spurious ankle injury at one point, way before he made any of those numbers, making some people. So that's what they're saying. And I know one of the commentators on Fox, when they were having this press conference, was noting, one of the legal commentators, how many people were lined up behind Kash Patel. There's a lot of agencies. The federal government is taking this very seriously.
Okay.
I think when they got into bed with the sports industry now is all in on the gambling industry. For a while, during the Pete Rose era, you couldn't even say the word gambling. It was like ivermectin. But now you'll hear the football people talking. They have euphemisms. Well, that field goal was good, which will make certain people very happy.
Yeah. Cover the line and all that.
Yeah, they're all into, and you see ads all the time now in sporting events for these gambling concerns.
All right, next story.
All right, NASA has quietly deployed planetary defense tools after an interstellar visitor showed up with some odd behaviors. This is a comet that they've dubbed 31/Atlas, and it is from outside of our solar system. From its trajectory and speed, the astronomers tell us it has one pass. It's not like Halley that'll come back every 80 years. It's one and done with this one, or is it? Because the done part is what some of these scientists are having questions about. It has some unusual characteristics. The shape of this, it's oblong, kind of almost rectangular. It's huge, some 33 billion tons. Its tail was pointing the wrong way at some point.
What's the wrong way in outer space?
Well, a tail points away from the sun. The solar winds blow the debris off of the comet, and it spreads the tail out opposite the sun. Well, this one,
you know your stuff, don't you, Steve?
I told you I spent the last half hour getting ready for
this. You paid attention. So, all right. just simplify this thing, Ray. I want you to talk about. We have a comet that's out there by the sun.
It has just disappeared behind the sun from our perspective.
And it's rectangular in size. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And, of course, the UFO folks think, well, maybe that's a spaceship of some kind.
That's what the mothership is what someone called it. Yeah.
Mothership, yeah.
But it did go in reverse. Is that right?
Well, they didn't see it. I heard that and I looked for it when I was looking.
Ray, go ahead. Comment on this.
Well, the article, Tim, that you sent around uses the phrase, the supposed comet. I thought, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
They don't just call it a comet, the supposed comet, meaning it has some characteristics that are not consistent with, say, Halley's Comet and all the others that we know about. It has characteristics that are consistent with, quote, a mothership, an interstellar vehicle from somewhere, manned. We don't know that. We're just presuming manned by somebody or something sent from somewhere. And I was just fascinated to read the article, Tim, that said that they're activating, quote, the planetary defense system. And the minute I hear that, planetary defense system, I'm thinking, I remember the movie Independence Day with Will Smith, you know?
Yeah.
And who was that actor who flew back up into that thing and he said, "Hello, boys."
Oh, that was
Hello, boys, I'm back.
Yeah, that was the brother of another known actor here. I can't remember that. The movie that I'm thinking about, though, is the one with who's the actor that just got dementia that they've been Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
And Bruce Willis, and there was
Die Hard.
Of that fame, he was on
Die Hard
one.
Goes to outer space.
Yeah, but there's another one. This is the one. That's the one where they launched a nuclear weapon at the comet.
They had to go up in a spaceship, land on this meteor that was headed towards the Earth.
Now, that wasn't Die Hard. That was some other movie.
Yeah, and they had to dig a hole to put the nuclear weapon.
I remember that movie. What was that movie? It was about 5 years ago, right?
There's been several movies
about this.
But
we're not joking, folks. About that was a story that what had been unleashed here.
Well, they're calling it the planetary defense deploys planetary
NASA
defense
made this
tools.
announcement.
NASA has said that they have quietly, or reporters reporting on NASA. The International Asteroid Warning Network. Now, what this article you sent out says is NASA's not launching rockets to defend the planet, like the movie, like Hollywood did.
Not yet.
No, it's treating it more like a tip-sharing exercise for stargazers everywhere to take better pictures. So I guess what they're saying is, if it's coming, they can't stop it, but we'll know a lot more about it before we get hit.
But what's the effort called to resist? I don't know how to describe this. What's it called that NASA said we've turned on something that we don't normally turn on unless something is a threat to our planet.
The rest turn on something the rest of us didn't even know they had.
I know, right, Ray?
Right.
What's the name of it, Steve?
Well, all I've read here anyway is this planetary defense tool. I don't see a name.
Ray, do you know anything more?
Zero, because I don't think they've ever talked about this publicly before.
Okay.
So, sure, they're sharing tips, but
I don't know how it operates.
If this thing comes, let's say it slingshots out from around the sun, it's gonna. They say in December it's going to come close to the Earth, so we'll get a lot better pictures of it.
It's moving then.
Yeah.
It's moving on. It's traveling pretty fast.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's your daily UFO update. Brought you here about today's issues.
We're just passing along the information.
That's right.
Friends. That's all we do.
Our planetary protection forces have been engaged.
Yeah. Okay. So I just brought up a list of the movies about incoming comets. So this is what we've been trying. Deep Impact was the one with about them.
Landing on the comet?
Landing on the comet.
Bruce Willis.
Right.
Oh, that was Bruce Willis. Okay.
Armageddon. That was the Bruce Willis one. NASA recruits oil drillers to destroy an incoming asteroid.
Oh, that was Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis didn't do two of those.
No.
Oil
the guy
drillers.
that
Oil drillers.
Yeah.
What?
Oil drilling
Impact
team.
was another one. Yeah, so there have been
Well,
several.
Independence Day, that was when the comet hit the U.S. or hit the world, hit the planet.
Space Cowboys,
Space
you,
Cowboys.
Adam.
Space Cowboys.
That was a Russian.
that's
That was a Russian satellite.
No, that,
Condad.
that
Oh,
was
is that
the,
right?
Space Cowboys.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That was Space Cowboys was the one with Bruce Willis.
It's also
And
No.
Okay. Okay.
well, some people call me a space cowboy.
Now we're getting back into the music.
That's right.
All right, back over to you, Steve, for our next news story.
All right. So the Department of Homeland Security has been doing an investigation, and they're troubled because what they're finding out, and they're confirming that FEMA, during the hurricane that hit western North Carolina.
Yeah, it hit
parked
Florida
over it.
first, and then Georgia,
Right.
Tennessee, Alabama, and then South Carolina, North Carolina. Yeah.
Right, and it parked over and made all of that flooding. And there were rumors that the FEMA people were looking and being political. They weren't going to help houses that had Trump signs. Oh, no, that couldn't be. Well, DHS has uncovered the fact it is. This is from their statement. An internal investigation by the Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Emergency Management Agency found that throughout the Biden administration, FEMA employees systematically refused to visit the homes of disaster survivors that displayed signs and flags they disagreed with, including those campaign signs from President Trump. Said DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, for years, FEMA employees under the Biden administration intentionally delayed much-needed aid to Americans suffering from natural disasters on purely political grounds.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
I'm angry, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not shocked because we know what it was like during those 4 years of Joe Biden. You had a Justice Department that was weaponized not only against Trump, but against conservatives in general, pro-life people.
Yes.
I mean, all of that happened blatantly.
Yeah. These were the Biden White House was, and the administration was full of left-wing activists.
Yeah.
Hardcore left-wing activists. They took advantage of Biden being mentally disabled, mentally challenged. We all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
slowing down. He lost his fastball.
Yeah. He didn't know what was. He didn't have the capacity to manage day-to-day activities of the White House and the administration. He just got up every morning and read whatever they gave him and had the auto pen. We all know that now. Well, because Biden, during his career, while he was a Democrat and he would have been considered liberal, he wasn't a wackadoodle, hardcore woke leftist, okay, in his career, over his career time. He was basically a traditional liberal Democrat. But he when he got into the White House and he didn't have the ability to manage it, these people took over and they hired people who thought like them, and then you end up with FEMA having somebody saying, don't go help those people because in North Carolina because they have a Trump sign outside their house.
That's what he said.
And I remember this being validated and verified 2 years ago, Steve.
Well, they're investigating it. They have put an investigation together. So they're issuing statements.
FEMA's supposed to be there to help people. It doesn't matter their political stripe.
Yeah.
Okay. You should, and that's what the argument was, that Biden's FEMA agency under the Department of Homeland Security was denying people assistance because of they were identified as Republican or Trump supporters.
I think Biden's character, he wasn't. Some people do say he was the most left wing. He just hit it well of a president. But what I think he's going to be remembered for in any kind of a unbiased history is using the office, all his political offices for self-gain. He made so much money and he had all these schemes with Hunter in collecting money for the family. He was the big guy throughout his whole career. A lot of people will charge.
All right, you're listening to Today's Issues on AFR. Go ahead, Steve.
All right. Archaeologists have uncovered a vast vast complex of ancient tombs in Colossae. This is the town that Paul used, the target of his letter to the Colossians. And what they found, these were tombs that were some 2,200 years old. Some of them predated the time of the Apostle Paul and the church. They found not only tombs, but they found different like terracotta ceramics, glass bottles, oil lamps, candles, and coins.
Is that in Greece? Where is that?
I think it's in, isn't it Turkey?
Turkey? Where is that? Do you know where that modern?
Asia Minor.
Colossae?
Colossae?
Where was that?
It's in modern day Turkey.
Okay, Turkey. Okay.
Yeah, in the Aegean region. That one of the things they're saying, overall, the discovery suggests that the inhabitants of Colossae held strong spiritual beliefs even before Paul's letter was written. And I don't know, Ray, is there a theme throughout Colossians of him more correcting, or he didn't have to lay a lot of groundwork about this is what faith in God is? Did he? What was the theme of Colossians?
The danger in the church at Colossae was they were losing. If you want, I'm using it metaphorically speaking. We think of Christ, the head of the church. They had inherited from the pagan culture around them some aberrational views that were causing them to turn away from Christ as the one true Son of God and fully man. Which is why in Colossians chapter 2, verse 9, Paul says, "In him dwells the fullness of the Godhead bodily," which means when you see Jesus, you're seeing all of God that any man can ever see. That all the power, all the glory, and all the greatness. Because it's easy. I mean, even in our world, it's easy to think God's up there and Jesus is like his representative. No. That's not, strictly speaking, not correct. Jesus represents God because Jesus is God.
That's right.
He's the very exact impression of his reality. The essence of who God is in Jesus Christ. So when you see Jesus, you are seeing God himself.
Well, Jesus said, "You've seen me, you've seen the Father."
Yes.
That's what he said. I mean, he made the claim himself. And so in that character of Jesus, we're seeing the character of God the Father. And it's the story, going back to the reason we're doing this story, archaeology, it's almost a tired headline. Archaeology approves that the Bible is true, what they're finding. That there was a culture there that backs up what the Bible talks about.
You know what you've never heard, Fred? Archaeology disproves something in the Bible.
Yeah.
I've never seen that headline.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I've done these stories on archaeology for years now, and every time I talk to a professor of archaeology at a seminary or everything, they're very quick to say, we don't need archaeology to prove the Bible. It stands on its own.
Mm-hmm.
It's good when it's nice. It's fun when it does, but you don't approach faith in God necessarily. You don't have to prove it with archaeology, right, Ray?
Well, archaeology for the last 200 years, it's been an emerging science, an emerging discipline. But the more they have dug, what they have dug up is evidence that substantiates exactly what the Bible says. For years they said there was nobody really named Pontius Pilate. They never found his name anywhere. Then they dug up that inscription, which you can see a replica of when you go to Caesarea Maritima, right there on the Mediterranean Sea, that there really was a man named Pontius Pilate. He really was the procurator. We could call him the governor of Judea in the days of Jesus, in the days of the Apostle Paul. The whole tenor of archaeology has not been to disprove the Bible, but to provide evidence that what the Bible says is really true.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. You're listening to Today's Issues. We're just about out of time. We got a couple minutes left.
Well, let's go look at our favorite news site.
Okay.
This would be news you can trust to be very satirical. This is the Babylon Bee, which is announcing, by the way, that there's a break in ICE Roundup, the ice Roundup, Trump has declared the White House ice-free until construction on the new ballroom is done. So they won't be using ice agents to
to do the construction work.
Yes, yeah. And
that's bad. That is bad.
No, I think it means
bad joke.
There might be workers,
right, who are there who aren't necessarily here legally.
That's what I think that's saying. Yes.
In other news, the Louvre has announced that they've installed a Ring door camera. They needed that.
Oh man,
They had a heist.
world?
Yeah, go ahead, Ray.
How in the world did that happen? They pull up in a truck and it's got one of those
ladder
lifts on it.
Yeah.
That
Not exactly Ocean's 11.
No,
it was
just.
It was 8 minutes from the time they arrived to the time they left. It was 8 minutes.
It was better than Ocean's 11.
But they're saying that it had to be there was a lot of amateur mistakes that they made.
Well, they got away with it.
I know.
I thought the same thing.
They got
Fred.
away with it. That's right.
They might have made
How
some
amateur
mistakes, but
is
they
it?
did a pretty good job there in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What we're talking about, if you don't know, folks, the Louvre, the famous museum in, is it the Louvre, right?
Louvre Museum
Yeah, where the Mona Lisa is.
It is where the...
And they had a heist over there a few days ago where some guys went in the building, got inside the building, and got away with jewels.
Crown jewels from the French history.
Yeah.
And the room was right next door to the room that houses the Mona Lisa.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and they got away with it, at least so far.
So far.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Like Ed said, you don't sell that at a pawn store,
or Facebook Marketplace.
The Versailles pawn store. I don't think that's going to get it. But anyway. All right. Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure.
Thanks to Fred and Ray and Adam Suddeth, our producer. And we appreciate you for listening to the program today. And we shall, it's Trivia Friday tomorrow. So we'll have some education and some learning. And Ed and JJ will be here with me. We'll see you back here then.